El Paso Herald, August 4th, 1914. Britain about to war on Germany. Map showing seat of war in Europe. Respect Belgium or fight edict. In few hours whole of Europe will be involved if Kaiser is stubborn. Germans threaten Belgium's peace. She appeals to Britain for protection and Britain takes stern stand. By Associated Press, London, England, August 4th. Unless Germany gives an explanation at once satisfactory and conciliatory relative to its future attitude towards Belgium and other neutral countries, Great Britain's immense army and navy may be thrown into the European conflict before the expiration of another 48 hours. A special issue of the London Gazette this evening proclaims a state of martial law in the British Isles. Great Britain sent an ultimatum to the German Kaiser this morning. Premier Asquith officially confirmed the dispatch of the ultimatum and said that through Sir Edward Goskin, British ambassador in Berlin, the following message was delivered to Germany. The King of the Belgians has appealed to His Britannic Majesty's government for diplomatic intervention on behalf of Belgium. The British government is also informed that the German government has delivered to the Belgian government a note proposing friendly neutrality pending a free passage of German troops through Belgium, and promising to maintain the independence and integrity of the kingdom and its possessions on the conclusion of peace, threatening in case of refusal to treat Belgium as an enemy. Sir Edward Grey, the British Foreign Secretary, requested an answer within 12 hours. Not to annex Belgium. Premier Asquith then read a telegram from the German Foreign Minister, which the German ambassador in London had sent to Sir Edward Grey today. It was as follows: "Please dispel any distrust that may exist on the part of the British government with regard to our intentions by repeating most positively the formal assurance that even in case of armed conflict with Belgium, Germany will under no circumstances annex Belgian territory." Luxembourg also violated. The immediate cause of Britain's action will be the violation of the neutrality of the Kingdom of Belgium and the Principality of Luxembourg by the German army in its movements against the French, although the act of war on the part of Germany against Great Britain's French ally would eventually have caused the British to take up arms, it is believed. If Great Britain enters the conflict, there is a chance that Japan will also be drawn in, as the Emperor of Japan has asserted positively that he will take a hand in the event of any attack by the Germans upon any British Oriental possession. Britain is in earnest. Great Britain today sent an ultimatum to Germany demanding a satisfactory explanation by midnight tonight on the subject of neutrality. A proclamation by King George commanding the mobilization of the British Army was read today on the steps of the Royal Exchange. A huge crowd continued on page 2, column 4.
The Madison Daily Leader, August 4, 1914. Earl Kitchener, slated to become Great Britain's Minister of War. England is ready to aid France, attitude made clear by Earl Grey. All factions face situation united, opposition and Irish nationalists support government's position. London, August 4th. Sir Edward Grey told the House of Commons that he had given France the assurance that if the German fleet came into the English Channel or through the North Sea to undertake hostile operations against the French coast or shipping, the British fleet would give all the protection in its power. Sir Edward Grey also announced that a telegram from the King of the Belgians made a supreme appeal to Great Britain to safeguard the integrity of Belgium. Andrew Bonar, leader of the opposition, warmly supported the government and referred amid cheers to the pledge of support received from the British dominions. While cheering from all parts of the House greeted John E. Redmond, the nationalist leader, when he assured the government every soldier in Ireland might be withdrawn tomorrow and the coasts of Ireland would be defended against invasion by her armed sons, the Catholics of the South and the Protestants of Ulster. Great Britain may be forced to act. London, August 4th. Violation of neutral territory by Germany during frontier raids by German, Russian, and French troops. Clashes between outposts. The bombardment of a Russian Baltic port by a German warship, the seizure of merchant ships by Russia and Germany, and Italy's proclamation of her neutrality constituted the striking features of the war on which virtually the whole continent of Europe has started. The position to be taken by the British Empire remains still to be defined, but it is feared that Germany's seizure of Belgian territory will be a deciding factor which will lead Britons to take the sword in hand, As under the Treaty of London of 1839, Great Britain stands pledged to maintain Belgium's neutrality. Evidences are not lacking of the grave views of the situation taken by all classes in the United Kingdom. The leaders of the opposition parties were called into council by the cabinet. It is reported that the cancellation of Field Marshal Earl Kitchener's return to Egypt as a prelude to his appointment as Minister of War. It is asserted in authoritative quarters that due warning was given to Germany of the intention of the British Navy to take instant action in case a German soldier should set foot on Belgian soil. In spite of this, and of the prompt refusal by the Belgian government to accept the agreement offered by Germany as the price of the violation of Belgian neutrality, German forces penetrated the little buffer state at 2 points on their way to the French frontier.
Honolulu Star Bulletin, August 4, 1914. Battle tide is rising. Great Britain at war. Ultimatum of England goes to Germany. Time expires. Britain prepare to strike. Associated Press Service by Federal Wireless, London, England, August 4th. Reuters Telegram Company announces that a state of war exists between England and Germany. This Associated Press dispatch, sent by Federal Wireless, was received by the Star Bulletin at 1:31 o'clock this afternoon. It followed a message shortly before which stated that the time limit set in Great Britain's ultimatum to Germany on the Belgian neutrality situation would expire at 4 o'clock San Francisco time, which is shortly after 1:30 o'clock here. The Reuters news agency announcement was evidently sent out from London immediately upon the expiration of the time limit fixed in the ultimatum. The Star Bulletin communicated the news to George Rodiek, consul for Germany, and T. Clive Davies, acting British consul. Neither had had the report officially from their respective countries, but they expressed no doubt as to its authenticity. Further reports from England show that the British government is rushing preparations for active warfare. It is expected that within a few hours news will come of movement of British land troops and naval vessels. Japan will support Great Britain. Tokyo, Japan, August 4th. An announcement from the Japanese Foreign Office that Japan will support England if the Far East is involved is taken by diplomats here as the Japanese government announcement to prepare the people for a naval action in which Japanese war vessels will be involved. Berlin, Germany, August 4th. Kaiser Wilhelm, personally opening Parliament today, stated, "We are not pushed on by a desire for contest. We are moved by an unbending desire to secure for ourselves and for those coming after the place on which God put us, my government, above all the Chancellor, tried until the last moment to prevent the worst. In enforced self-defense, with clear conscience and clean hands, we grasp the sword." Mild martial law in England. London, England, August 4th. Modified martial law has been proclaimed. The government has assumed control of all the railways. London, England, August 4th. Premier Asquith this afternoon read to the House of Commons England's demand that Germany respect Belgian neutrality as a joint guarantor with England under the Treaty of London. The time limit set for an answer in England's ultimatum expires at 4 o'clock San Francisco time. Note this is approximately 1:40 o'clock Honolulu time. Berlin notifies Washington Embassy state of war exists. England resolute. Associated Press Service by Federal Wireless. London, England, August 4th. England today sent Germany an ultimatum demanding a statement before midnight as to what attitude Germany is taking toward Belgian neutrality, in view of the reports of German forces crossing the Belgian border. Germany's reply was to notify Belgium that unless she voluntarily permitted the passage of German troops, Germany was prepared to accomplish what she deemed needful by force of arms. Immediately afterward, the German troops again invaded Belgium near Verviers, in the province of Liege. King George has ordered the British Army to mobilize. Parliament today unanimously appropriated $525 million for emergency uses in the present war crisis. Belgium to fight for neutrality. Brussels, Belgium, August 4th. King Albert, Belgium, addressing a special joint session of Parliament today, exhorted the nation to stand united for independence. Premier de Broqueville repeated to the Parliament Germany's ultimatum that Belgium must permit passage of the German troops, and he also laid before the members Belgium's reply that she cannot sacrifice the country's honor, that she is neutral and will resist encroachment by all means within her power. Wild cheering greeted this announcement. The National Bank of Belgium has sent all its securities to Antwerp by a special train, anticipating a possible fall of the capital.
Bismarck Daily Tribune, August 5, 1914. England declares war on Germany. All Europe is now plunged deeply into worst conflict of history. All nations now in arms, either engaged in struggle or defending neutrality. France, Great Britain, and Russia join to oppose Kaiser, who like a madman is defying every power with ultimatums. Italy is maintaining her silence. London, August 4th. Great Britain declared war on Germany tonight. The momentous decision of the British government, for which the whole world has been waiting, came before the expiration of the time limit set by Great Britain in her ultimatum to Germany, demanding satisfactory reply on the subject of Belgium neutrality. Germany rejects terms. Germany's reply was a summary rejection of the request that Belgium neutrality be respected. The British ambassador at Berlin thereupon received his passports, and the British government notified Germany that a state of war existed between the two countries. All Europe in arms. All Europe now is in arms. On the one hand is Austria-Hungary and Germany, opposed by Russia, France, Great Britain, Serbia, and Montenegro. Italy has declared her neutrality, but is mobilizing. Belgium, Holland, and Switzerland have mobilized. The German demand of the Belgian government to permit free passage of the German troops through Belgium was answered by a hasty preparation to resist such advance across the Belgian territory. Sweden makes no answer. Sweden made no answer to inquiries from Russia and Germany regarding her attitude, but is preparing to defend her neutrality. Japan is making ready to live up to her alliance with Great Britain in case of certain eventualities. Spain is reported to be preparing a proclamation of neutrality. Austria-Hungary for the moment has retired from her campaign against Serbia for the purpose of holding back Russia. Serbia has mobilized with the reported intention of invading Bosnia. Turkey to be neutral. Turkey has informed Great Britain that forces of the Ottoman Empire are being mobilized. Mobilization, she says, is a precautionary measure and Turkey will remain absolutely neutral. In some quarters, however, it is believed this step is taken by Turkey in fear that the Russian Black Sea Fleet will attempt to force the Bosphorus. Russia may even land troops on the Turkish shores of the Black Sea and seize Constantinople. The English government was given control of all railroads in Great Britain by an order issued last evening. In the event of war, Great Britain will take over all warships now building in England for the foreign powers, including 2 Turkish dreadnoughts, which are about completed. Work is being pushed on all British, continued on page 2. $49,950,000 daily cost of war. With the present situation in Europe in mind, Professor Charles Richet, of the University of Paris, 2 years ago compiled a table of the daily expenditures in a general European war. Estimating that 21 million men would be put in the field by the fighting powers, Professor Richet's estimate of the daily cost of such a struggle follows. Feed of men, $12,600,000. Feed of horses, 1 million. Pay, European rates, for $1,250,000. Pay of workmen in arsenals and ports, 100 per day. 1 million. Transportation, 60 miles. 10 days, 2,100,000. Transportation of provisions, for $1,200,000. Munitions. Infantry, 10 cartridges a day, for $1,200,000. Artillery, 10 shots a day, 1,200,000. Marine, 2 shots a day, for 100,000. Equipment, for $1,200,000. Ambulances, 500,000. Wounded or ill, $1 per day. 500,000. Armature, 500,000. Reduction of imports, 5 million. Help to the poor, 20 cents a day to 1 in 10, 6,800,000. Destruction of towns, etc., 2 million. Total $49,950,000. King George thanks subjects for loyalty. London, August 4th. King George addressed a message to all the British colonies, expressing his appreciation of the spontaneous assurances they have given of the fullest support to the motherland. They recall to me, His Majesty says, the generous self-sacrifice and help given by them in the past to the mother country. I will be strengthened in the discharge of the great responsibility which rests upon me by the confident belief in this time of trial that my empire will be united, calm, and resolute, trusting in God. Germany in tight place. Kaiser chief figure in struggle, isolated and unafraid. Dark day for Germany. Emperor's physical condition good, but face full of care. Berlin, August 4th. From the moment Austria-Hungary caught the whole world napping in its swift attack on Serbia, the German emperor has been one of the principal figures in the situation. Tonight, all London regards him as the chief figure, isolated, dominating, unafraid, with his back against the wall, desiring peace, but adhering to the demand of his people for a war. Might have been different. Many persons believe the situation would have been different tonight if Emperor William had been at Potsdam, instead of with his fleet in the North Sea, when the Habsburgs proceeded to their chastisement of Serbia. But when William II reached home, all Germany was aflame with enthusiasm over the great struggle between Teuton and Serb. In tight place, the German emperor, towering head and shoulders over every other figure in Europe, is regarded by diplomatists here tonight as being in the tightest place in his remarkable career, with Italy running away from the Triple Alliance and with Austria reasonably busy with Serbia and the other Balkan states. Emperor William stands surrounded. Russia is mobilizing on the one hand, France is mobilizing on the other, and Great Britain is threatening his navy and throwing a cordon of fighting ships around his seaports. A dark day has broken. Well may the Kaiser say, as he said in a speech last night, a dark day has today broken over Germany. Envious persons are everywhere compelling us to defense. Thus the Emperor stands tonight, in the eyes of England, a sort of modern Frederick the Great, beset on every side by enemies. And he is the great figure in the situation, which in almost the twinkling of an eye has changed to place him in a position of great military disadvantage. Shows lines of care. Those who have seen the Kaiser lately have remarked that, while his physical condition is apparently perfect, the cares and troubles of his rule have indelibly marked his face almost as if scarred with the wounds of battle. His latest photographs show heavy lines, as in the face of a runner who has gone at a terrific pace.
The Valdez Daily Prospector, August 5, 1914. British enter conflict. Do not wait for German reply to ultimatum regarding Belgium. Germans sink British mine ship and burn many Russian towns along border. British seize Turkish battleships being built in England. Japan will protect British Oriental ports. England declares war. London, August 5th. Great Britain declared war last night on Germany without waiting for a reply to the ultimatum sent early yesterday demanding that Germany respect the neutrality of Belgium and withdraw her troops from that country. London wild with joy. The people here are wild with joy, parading the streets, cheering the army, and when the mob reached the German embassy they stoned the building until driven from the scene by the police, who used their clubs in driving them away. England keeps foreign ships. London, August 5th. The British government has seized all warships now building in this country, including the superdreadnoughts building for Turkey and almost completed. The finishing touches on the ships will be made at once and they will be placed in commission. Decorate statues of heroes. The people today decorated the statues of the heroes of England who have won renown in previous wars. English ambassador gets passports. Berlin, August 5th. The English ambassador has received his passports from the German Foreign Office and will be given a safe conduct to the border of France or Denmark. Japan to help England. Tokyo, August 5th. Japan will protect England's ports in the Orient according to a statement issued here today by a high official in the government service. Japan, while notified of the war between Germany, Russia, and France and the other European nations, has failed so far to issue any proclamation of neutrality. German fleet sighted. The German fleet of warships has been sighted on the eastern coast of the Baltic Sea. It is expected they will bombard the coast towns. The Russian fleet is not strong enough to meet the larger German fleet and will wait for the arrival of the British ships. Germans sink English ship. London, August 5th. A British mine-laying ship has been sunk by the Germans in the North Sea when the vessel was endeavoring to lay mines at the entrance of a German harbor. King thanks colonies. King George has thanked the colonies for the many offers of aid in the present war and preparations are being made by the government to enlist troops in the colonies. Martial law in England. London, August 5th. Following the declaration of war by England against Germany, martial law was proclaimed in England and Scotland. All the other countries of the British Isles will also be placed under martial law in a few days. Thousands of troops are being brought here from Ireland.
The Washington Herald, August 5, 1914. Kaiser draws sword on Britain, battle at sea. Germany breaks with England, Belgium, and France in a day, forces sweep on. Last torch is added to great conflagration by Emperor Wilhelm's action against Great Britain. Wireless carries news to English fleet already reported engaged off Scottish coast. Germans drive Russians before them. Servians hold off Austrian forces. Special cable to the Washington Herald, London, August 4th. The British government tonight reached the decision for which the whole world has been waiting, and even before the expiration of the time limit fixed by Great Britain in her final note to Germany, in which a demand for a satisfactory reply as to the maintenance of the neutrality of Belgium, Great Britain actually was at war. Absolute refusal to comply with the British demand that Belgium neutrality should be respected was Germany's reply. The British government's notification to Germany that a state of war was considered by Great Britain to exist between the two countries followed but a few minutes after the British ambassador at Berlin had received his passports. Great Britain, thus, is allied with Russia, France, Serbia, and Montenegro against Germany and Austria-Hungary. No answer has as yet been made by Sweden to the inquiries from Russia and Germany regarding her attitude. Sweden, however, is prepared to defend her neutral position. Japan still is awaiting England's declaration that she is a victim and not an aggressor before Japan should decide actively to aid the British arms. A proclamation of neutrality is expected hourly from Spain. Meanwhile, the primary issue has been lost sight of even by the countries that were originally directly involved. Austria-Hungary, while moving to a certain extent on Serbia, has been diverted in her main operations to the defense of her borders from Russian invasion. Serbia, on the other hand, is reported to have mobilized with the intention of invading Bosnia. There was some confusion early in the evening as to whether England or Germany was the first to declare war. It appears now from official statements that have been given out at the Foreign Office that Germany declared war on Great Britain at 7 p.m. Tuesday. The declaration by the British government that a state of war existed between the two countries was not made until 11 p.m. As the matter is viewed at the British Foreign Office, therefore, Germany was the first to declare war. The official notification of Germany's declaration of war against England was given out by the British Foreign Office tonight. His Majesty's government has been informed that Germany declared war on this country at 7 p.m. this day, and that His Majesty's ambassador was handed his passports. A state of war, therefore, exists between Germany and this country as from 7 p.m. August 4th. 4 hours prior to the announcement that Germany had formally declared war on Great Britain, huge crowds marched through the principal streets of London, waving Union Jacks, French, and Russian flags. The populace had accepted the declaration of war by Great Britain as a certainty early this morning. Throngs hovered in the vicinity of the Parliament buildings all day long, and when announcement was made early in the evening that the House of Commons had in 5 minutes passed the emergency appropriations bill amounting to more than $500 million, cheers resounded all through the section. Takes over railroads. A few hours later, official announcement was made that the government had taken over all the railroads. Around Buckingham Palace, the crowds grew after darkness, and policemen and reserves had difficulty in keeping the thousands moving. Cheers for King George alternated with cries of "Long live France." In answer to the shouts of the throngs, the King and Queen and the Prince of Wales appeared on one of the balconies while bands played the national anthem. In another part of the city, Sir John French, who had been appointed Inspector General of the British forces, was busy dispatching orders to the regiments of the nation. There were only jeers for the Conservatives, who deplored the drastic action presaged by the legislative acts of the Parliament during the day. Realizing that Germany had gained an early advantage by hurling her troops into Russia, invading Luxembourg, a neutral duchy, and sending army corps into Belgium, the British cabinet waited until the last moment, but her land and sea forces are prepared to strike, and strike hard, to offset the advantage gained by the Kaiser's government. It is believed here that the invasion of Belgium, which the cabinet held to be a violation of the neutrality laws, more than anything else prompted the declaration of war by the Asquith ministry. Martial law now obtains throughout Great Britain. By wireless cable and telegraph, news of the formal declaration of war was flashed to English fighting men in all parts of the empire. Rapidly rushing its work, the House of Commons paved the way for the declaration by making $500 million immediately available for the War Office. With financial matters out of the way, the House then took up consideration of the foreign issues. Continued on page 3. Fleet's battle off coast of Scotland. Wounded being landed near Aberdeen, dispatched to London States. Physicians and nurses rushed to scene on special train. England seizes warships being constructed for Chile and Turkey. Special cable to the Washington Herald, Aberdeen, Scotland, August 4th. A naval battle is reported to have occurred north of the Scottish coast today. Numerous wounded are being landed at Cromarty, in the county of Aberdeen, where doctors have been summoned to attend them. London, August 4th. England's orders for war are being signaled to the fleet. No confirmation has yet been obtained of the reported naval engagement north of Scotland. The Star, in a late edition, reports that special trains were chartered for surgeons and nurses, who declined to give any information regarding their destination. The government has taken over 2 battleships which had been ordered by the Turkish government and are now being built here. Also, 2 Chilean torpedo boat destroyers have been taken over.
The Atlanta Georgian, August 5, 1914. 8 nations battling on land, on sea, and sky. British fleet under steam, and Chief of English Navy. A British fleet at Spithead. Below, King George and Queen Mary X aboard the dreadnought Benbow, and Winston Churchill, First Lord of the Admiralty. Churchill is half American, his mother being the former Mrs. Cornwallis West, an American woman. Today's war developments. 6 great battles are reported raging today. The Germans and Belgians are struggling at Liege after a repulsive first attack by the Kaiser's troops. A sea fight of tremendous proportions is undoubtedly underway in the North Sea. In the Baltic and at Madeira, naval engagements are reported, and German and Russian invading armies each are grappled in fierce conflict on foreign soil. Germany and Austria are today at war with Great Britain, Russia, France, Belgium, Serbia, and Montenegro. Italy today is debating whether or not to join Germany and Austria. If in her opinion Great Britain is aggressor against Germany, she will rescind neutrality and join her allies. The United States has tendered its good offices to all warring nations. Germany is reported to have met disastrous losses on land and sea. Belgium announces she has defeated 80,000 troops attacking Liege. In a naval battle in the Mediterranean, British and French ships sank 1 German cruiser and captured 2 others. The German fleet is concentrating to defend the Kiel Canal, which Britain is expected to attack immediately. The Italian cabinet has been called to decide whether it shall support Germany on the ground that her ally has been attacked by England. Japs not to send fleet nor troops to Europe. Special cable to the Atlanta Georgian. Tokyo, August 5th. That Japan, if compelled to intervene, would protect the British colonies, but under no circumstances would send a fleet or an army to Europe, was the declaration of Count Okumer, the Japanese premier, in an interview today. He expressed regret because the United States had been unable to mediate, adding that Japan would have been pleased to join the United States in her effort to settle the present conflict, had not the fact that the Nippon government is an ally to Great Britain prevented. The premier expressed the opinion that the present conflict, if it continues, will mean the destruction of Western civilization. The Japanese cruiser Chiyoda, now at Kure, was today ordered to proceed at once to South China waters. The Japanese fleet today was ordered to be ready to put to sea. A German warship has been sighted in Tsushima Straits, watching the vessels of the Russian volunteer fleet. The Foreign Office issued the following statement tonight. The imperial government entertains the deepest anxiety regarding the political and economic situation arising from the latest developments in European politics. It hopes peace will be quickly restored and the war not extended, and Japan be able to maintain an attitude of strict neutrality. It is necessary, however, that the closest attention be paid to future developments. In the event that Great Britain becomes involved, the terms of the Japanese alliance will be affected, and Japan will take the necessary measures to discharge her obligations under the treaty. As there's a difference of 12 hours between London and Tokyo time, the news that Great Britain and Germany were at war was not received when the statement was issued. French-German sea battle reported on off coast of Maine. Boston, August 5th. It is reported by wireless that a fight between a French and a German cruiser is in progress off the Maine coast. Portland, Maine, August 5th. Heavy firing off Portland was heard at 7 o'clock this morning. From 8 to 10 shots were counted. The firing was also heard in Bath and at Popham Beach. The observatories were unable to see anything, as a thick fog obscured vision a few miles to sea. The sound of firing seemed to come from a point about 30 miles from Portland, near Seguin Island. The shots were quite distinct at Bath. If a battle is in progress, it is believed to be between British, French, and German cruisers. The British cruisers Lancaster and Berwick and the French cruisers Friant and Condé have been reported north of New York. The German cruisers are believed to be the Karlsruhe and Strasbourg. As a result of reports of firing off the Maine coast, the freight steamer Glenbridge, a British vessel, was ordered to remain in port. The British steamer Essington left here Monday for Nova Scotia and has not reported. German cruiser sunk, 2 captured. London, August 5th. The first naval battle in the Mediterranean has occurred and resulted in a crushing defeat for the German sea forces. Dispatches received today state that the French and British fleets effected a junction while in pursuit of German warships that had been sighted off the northern coast of Africa. Coming up with the German ships off the coast of Morocco, the Allies' combined fleets attacked them and after a hard fight sank 1 and captured 2. The warship that was sunk was a cruiser Panther, and those captured were the cruisers Breslau and Goeben, according to the advices received here. The first reports of the battle gave no details as to loss of life. The Admiralty has no official advices. Details of the battle are confirmed in a dispatch from Paris, which says, after bombarding the Algerian towns of Bona and Philippon, the German cruisers Goeben, Breslau, and Panther were caught in a trap between the British and French fleets. In the battle that followed, the Panther was sunk and the others captured. Germans sink British mine ship. The French Admiralty announced a German defeat today, saying that no further danger from German ships need be feared, and that the Austrian fleet had taken refuge in port. Another Paris dispatch says, unofficial advices say that a naval battle is in progress off. Continued on page 2, column 5.